This meeting is being
that this message has been what? Tap to stay in group or to leave.
I did not see you. Charlie.
That person is the one who did it.
Okay, can we reduce on our noise and we start our lesson? So you're welcome to this online lesson. My name is Teacher Ashaba Frederick. My contact is there. We have been having these lessons and we continue to have them. So feel free to ask me anything in regard to math. I think this is my first time to teach you, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we shall be contributing. When I ask questions, feel free to answer. If you have something to ask, raise up your hand and then we shall be able to get each other very well. So what do you understand by the word function? For some of us who did some reading,
A function is an operation that maps a unique input onto a unique output.
so a unique input into a unique output.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other question? Any other answer from members? So before we go to a function, as one of us has given an answer, before we go there, then a word relation. So it's the one that takes us to a function. So who can read for us?
Read.
You are fearing to read. Do you want me to call by name?
A
Yes.
relation.
A relation between two variables x and y is a set of ordered pairs.
A relation between two
Is a set
variables.
of ordered.
The set of ordered.
Set of orders. So ordered pairs, write them in form of x and y. So it becomes a pair which has two inputs, x and y. So we are saying an ordered pair consists of an x and y coordinate. So x values are the input, independent variable, or what we call a domain. So the unique input is an independent variable, And in math, we stress so much on calling it a domain. So that is the x value in the ordered pair. And then the y values are the output, the dependent variable, and we call it a range. And in some books, they call it codomain. So this is an output. So when we input the x value, we expect to have an output that we are calling a range. And after this, then we ask ourselves what a function is. So one of us had suggested that the unique is what we like input, a unique input that gives a unique output. So it is very much similar to this. So you are saying a function is a relation in which every input has exactly one output. So it is similar. So we expect that each input is going to generate for us one and one. If one input generates more than one, then that one is not regarded as a function, much as it can work as a relation. So can we proceed?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. So here I have Saturn diagram I constructed. So we are beginning with an input, and that input we are substituting it in a function, and at the end it will generate for us an output. So that is the procedure. So you have an input. That input takes you to, so we have an input here, which input takes us to a function. So we substitute in, and then later we have an output. Then this domain is what we input. Is what we input in the what? In the function. Is the same as the input. So it's another name, mathematical name for input. We call it a domain. And then what we get after as output, we call it a range or codomain. Any question about this illustration? Okay.
Yes.
You have a question? Okay.
Teacher, how does that thing come up, like the domain? Like how does the domain and it?
Come again.
How do the domain and the input part, how do they relate?
How do they? No, for the
How
input,
do they relate with?
how they relate is the function is the one that makes them relate, because when we get an input, for example, a 2, and we substitute it in a function, which function is also given in the question, then what we shall get at the end is the output. And that output is the one we are calling a range or codomain. And then the input we are using to, okay, the value we use to substitute in the function is the one we call a domain. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. So after that, we now begin with examples. So here I began with the question. which says given that a function fx is equal to x squared divided by 3 plus 5. So we find the value of x for which the function is equal to 17. So what are we going to do here?
Where there's an x, we substitute it for 17 and then work out the thing.
Okay, thank you for giving us that suggestion. Any other suggestion? Any other suggestion?
From the function, we substitute in the values of x.
We substitute in the values of x.
Yeah. As
Okay.
17.
As 17. So x is 17.
Yes.
But we are told to find the value of x.
Now we are going to equate the first function to be equal to 17 so that we get the values
of x. Thank you very much. So since f of x is all of them are fx, so we are going to equate them. So we are saying f of x is equal to 17. So meaning x squared plus x squared over 3 plus 5 is equal to 17. So which step do we add there? Yes, hope you have a question. Your hand is up. Okay, I see Nicholas, you have a question, your hand is up.
I'm getting the next step.
Hey, okay, well, okay.
Yes. You multiply by c on x squared, then 5, then it's 17 to remove the denominator.
Remove the denominator. Thank you very much. Is there any other alternative apart from multiplying by 3 throughout? Yes. So is it Asima who is going to only give us answers?
In other words,
yes,
just like you put 5 and 17 to have a denominator of 1, and then the LCM of the denominator you multiply on each character.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so all that will give you the answer. But me, what I did, I first took a 5 on the right hand side. So after doing that, so this 5, I made it to cross to the right hand side and it becomes a negative. So it becomes 17 minus 5. Then after that, the 17 minus 5 is going to give us 12. And then after this, we are going to multiply by 3 as suggested by Asimwe. So multiply by 3. So here we are going to multiply by 3. And also here we multiply by 3. And that will generate for us, because this 3 is going to cancel out with that, 12 times 3 would give us, what is 12 times 3? 12 times 3? Geraldine?
36.
36. Okay. So we are going to have x squared equaling to 36. And what do we do next from that? What would be our next step? we find the square root both sides.
Yes.
So taking a square root both sides, so this square here on x will die with the root and will remain with x.
Okay.
And what is the square root of x?
Square root.
It's x.
Okay, Mulunji. Mulunji, you have something to say? Mulunji Stella?
Teacher,
Yes.
I was just answering the question.
Okay. Now, what is the root of 36?
6.
6. Okay. So we shall now have x equaling to what? To 6.
6.
Yes. Are there people who are taking down some notes?
Yes.
Okay. I wish we would take them later because we are going to share this video, but it's okay if you can take those notes. So have we finished?
Yes.
Okay, we continue.
Yes.
To example 2. So in example 2, we are saying given that f of x is 2x minus 5, find the value of part A, f of negative 2, and part B, we find the f inverse, so the inverse function of x. The inverse function of x. So solution, we are beginning with f of x is equal to 2x minus 2. So how are we going to get f of negative 2? Suggestions, members? Let me now give chance to somebody else, not Asimwe. Let us, Elisha.
We are going to substitute in for the values of f of negative 2 in the function.
In the function. Any other suggestion? Okay, Asimwe.
We are going to substitute the function of x. We put there negative.
We put there negative. Okay, Mulunji.
Teacher, we're going to substitute in the f of negative 2. We are going to equate the equation so that we get x.
Okay. Thank you for trying, but it's not, because the other time it was f of x equaling to 17. So this time it is f of negative 2. Okay, Nicholas, your hand is still remaining up.
I wanted to say the answer, but they have already said.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
So what we are going to do, so where since it is now f of x, so f of x is 2x plus minus 5. So if we are finding f of negative 2, where there is x, is we substitute there a negative 2. So f of negative 2 will be equal to 2 into negative 2 minus 5. So what is 2 times negative 2? It is
negative 4.
Negative 4. So meaning we are going to have f of negative 2 equaling to negative 4 minus 5. And what is negative 4 minus 5?
Negative 9.
Negative 9. Okay. What is minus 5? Yes. Okay, so our answer for f of negative 2 is negative 9. Okay.
Yes.
So how would we find the inverse of the function? Those who might have some ideas.
Yeah.
Yes. Murungi.
Let me try.
Yes.
Like we are going to first let any
Yes.
letter or let A equals to fx.
Yes.
Then there where we have said let A equals to fx, we shall say A equals to 2x minus 5.
Yes.
Then after that, we shall get the 5 and cross it to the other side. It becomes a positive where it will become A plus 5 equals to 2x.
Okay, so let us go through it.
Then we divide 2 on both sides.
Yes.
Where we shall remain with x equals to a plus 5.
5
Out of
divided
5.
by 2.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Then afterwards, where there is a, because we said a equals to fx.
Yes.
That means the x equals to x plus 5 divided by 2.
Okay.
The
Thank you very
inverse of
much.
f.
Let me also listen to Christine. Christian, your hand is up. Say something. Your hand is up and you're not saying anything. Okay, let's go through that as. So we are beginning by letting fx our function to be y, as our friend suggested that it can be a, so you can use any letter that you feel is comfortable to you. So that means our 2x minus 5 is equal to y, and then here we cross the 5 to this other side, and it becomes a plus. So this will be 2x is going to be y plus 5. Then after that, we divide both sides by 2 by 2. So we divide by 2 here and here by 2, so that this 2 cancels with that. And then we remain with x is equal to y plus 5 divided by 2. So after that, we say our function, the inverse of our function, is equal to, so where there is y, we substitute x, since we are having our f inverse in terms of x. So it becomes x plus 5 divided by 2. So is it clear, members?
Yes.
So please could you repeat?
Teacher? Yeah, could you please repeat it?
Okay, yes. I repeat it? Okay, please.
Yes.
So we said we begin by letting this function here, the fx to be a certain letter like y, okay? So now our y is substituting the fx. So that means 2x minus 5, which was fx, is now equal to y. So remember, this was fx. So we now equate it to y. We equate it to y. After that, the negative 5 crosses to this other side, because our major emphasis is to remain with x on one side. So when it crosses, it becomes positive, and it will be 2x is equal to y plus 5. So when we reach there, because we want to remain with x on the left-hand side, we divide by 2 on both sides. So after dividing by 2 on both sides, this 2 will cancel out with this 2. And on the left-hand side, we shall remain only with x. And then on the right, it will remain as y plus 5 divided by 2. So after that, our x is going to be equal to, y plus 5 divided by 2. Are we there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then after that, we say, because after making x the subject of the formula, we shall be towards the end. So we say f inverse of x is equal to, so where there is a y on this step here, we substitute there an x, because our function, our f inverse is in terms of what? Of x. So where there is a y or any other letter that you have used, we change it to x, and it becomes x plus 5 divided by 2. Any queries? So can we continue?
Yes.
Okay. Then here we have if h of x, can we first mute our microphones? Angela, can you? Okay, thank you. So if h of x is equal to p plus x, so this is the function that we have, and h of 4 is equal to 23. We find the values of p, the h of 0, and h of negative 5. And then we shall come to these ones later, these two. So if we have our h of x as px plus 3, and that h of 4 is equal to 23, how are we going to go about it? So we are given h of x and h of 4, and the h of 4 is equal to 23. So what do we do to find the value of p? Peter, Emma?
We shall put forward the x is so that it becomes 4p plus 3 and equate it to 23. Yes. Then
thank you.
Take the 3 side and subtract it from 20.
Yes.
And to make it 4p yes. equals 20 and divide 4, yes. Getting 5 as the answer.
Getting 5 as the answer. Thank you. Okay. Assume we have something different from that.
No, teacher.
Okay. So let us go through what our friend has said. So they have said where there is a 4, so we are going to find h of 4. So h of 4, where there is x, we put a 4. So this one here, so it becomes 4p plus 3. Then after that, we equate it to 23, since they said h of 4 is equal to 23. So we put a 23 is equal to 4p plus 3. And then after that, we shall take this 3 to this other side, like we are going to collect like terms together. So it becomes 4p is equal to 23 minus 3. I've changed the order here. This one has, but it is okay. But it was supposed to be 23 minus 3 is equal to 4p. So I've just changed the order and wrote this on the left hand side and this on the right hand side. Then 23 minus 3 would give us 20, and then 4p would be equal to 20, and there we divide by 4 both sides, so it would be 20 divided by 4 is equal to 5, as suggested by our colleague. Any question about it? Okay, if there are no questions, let's continue. To find, so after finding the value of p, we are supposed to substitute it back, and we get the hx without a p. So h of x is equal to 5. So where there was p here, we have substituted the 5. So 5x plus 3. So we are now told to find h of 0. So h of 0 is equal to, where there is x, or here we substituted 0, and we add a 3. So h of 0 will be equal to 5 times 0 is of course 0 plus 3, and that would give us what? 3 as our answer. Then who can tell us how we are going to find h of -5? But before that, let us hear from Chilabo. Chilabo, you have something to say? So how, okay, any other person apart from Peter, because I would wish to hear from almost all of you. How do we find h of -5? Now that I've done h of 0.
Like, I'm trying.
Yes.
Finding h of -5. You're going to say h of x equals to px plus 3. So here we got the value of p, which is equals to 5. So we shall substitute the 5 into the what? The other function up. So we shall say h of x equals to 5x plus 3. Afterward, we are going to find h of -5, and where there is x, we are going to substitute -5. So we shall say h of -5 equals to 5 times -5 plus 3, where h of -5 equals to 5 times negative 5 times negative 5. 5 times negative 5, it is negative 25.
Yes.
So h of negative 5 equals to negative 25 plus 3. And the answer will be, h of negative 5, therefore h of negative 5 equals to negative 22.
Negative 22. Thank you. Asimo, do you have a different answer? Okay. Okay. So let us go through that. So I'm going to say from the h of x, which is 5x plus 3. So h of negative 5. So where there is x, we are going to substitute there a negative 5. So on this x here, we are going to substitute there negative 5. And that will be 5 times negative 5 plus 3. Which gives us 5 times negative 5 is negative 25 plus 3, and that gives us negative 20, negative 22. Then we had this other question which said determine h inverse of x and h inverse of negative 5. So apart from those who haven't said anything, can we please say something about how to find h inverse of x? H inverse of x, those who have not said anything, just try. You never know, it might be the right answer. Okay, Bridget and Govian.
Yes, answer.
Yes, our function is h of x is equal to 5x plus 3. So how do we find h inverse of x?
We substitute and we substitute 3 and cross to this side of it. We first let the function of dy.
Yes.
Then we have 5x plus 3 equals 1.
Yes.
Then we will have 5x equals y minus 3.
Yes.
After we divide both sides by 5.
Okay.
Then we interchange y. Then the function x.
Yes.
X. The inverse of hx will be x minus 3 over 5.
Thank you very much. So let us go through it very fast. Time is not our best friend, so we begin by letting h equaling to y. So 5x plus 3 is equal to y. So we take the 3 on the left, on the right hand side. So it becomes 5x minus 3. After that, we divide by 5 both sides. So we shall remain with y minus 3 divided by 5. And we say therefore, h inverse of x is x minus 3 divided by 5. Yes. Okay. Then how do we find h inverse of negative 5? H inverse of negative 5. Let me now choose someone to say something here. Teddy, how do we find H inverse of negative 5? Teddy is not saying something. Michael, how do we find H inverse of negative 5?
Hold on, sir. Let me first calculate that.
Yes.
We have, wait, we have x minus 3 over 5. So we substitute the negative 5.
Yeah.
So substitute x for negative 5. And we'll have
Yes.
negative 5 minus 3 divided by
Yes.
5, which is going to give
Yes.
us negative 8 divided by 5.
Yes.
And
okay, thank you. Hope.
Finding the inverse of negative 5, we are going to substitute negative. Okay, here we got inverse of x equals to x minus 3 out of 5.
Yes.
So finding the inverse of negative 5, we are going to just substitute. Where there is x, we put there negative 5. Where we're going to say inverse of negative 5 is going to be is equals to negative 5. Negative 5 minus 3 divided by 5.
Okay.
And
thank you.
the answer is negative 1.5.
Negative 1.5.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, let me see, as if this question was h of negative 13. Okay, negative 5 it is okay. But me here I had done h of negative 13, but it is still the same procedure, okay? So h of 13, so 13 minus this divided by that. But okay, let's do this other one here. H of negative 5 would be negative 5 minus 3 divided by 5. So this gives us negative 8 divided by 5. And the answer is?
Negative 1.5.
1.6.
1.6.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Any questions before I proceed? Hope, do you have a question?
Teacher,
okay,
is it
Bridget.
It has negative 8 out of 5. Or do
Yes.
we have to simplify?
No, you can leave it as negative 8 out of 5, no problem. Okay. So let us possibly do the last one. So we have f inverse, f of x is equal to ax plus b. So they have now given us some unknowns. And the f of 4 is 4, and f of negative 1 is negative 6. So what did we do?
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes.
Could you please talk a little slow?
Okay, thank you. So f of x is equal to ax plus b. F of 4 is equal to 4. And f of negative 1 is equal to negative 6. and we are requested to find values of A and B. So how would we find those values? Yes, Peter?
So we substitute the f4 equals -4 into the original function, which becomes 4a plus b equals to 4. Then we go to the next one, which is f of -1 equals -6, and still substitute it in the original function, which becomes -a plus b equals -6, then form simultaneous equations and solve.
Okay. So Emma is saying we begin by substituting for f of 4, and when we substitute for f of 4, so on x here we shall substitute a 4, so that will become 4a plus b, and our f of 4 is equal to 4, so it is good for us to say 4 is equal to 4a plus b, and we shall write that as equation 1, 4a plus b is equal to 4, and we say that is equation 1. Then we come back and substitute for f of -1 to be equal to -6, still in the original equation. So f of -1, where there is x, we substitute a -1, so it will be a times -1 plus b, and f of -1 was given as 6, as -6, so -6 is equal to -a plus b, and that gives us our second equation as -a plus b is equaling to 6. So from this equation here, so remember there are different methods of solving simultaneous equations. So we can use elimination, we can use substitution, and others. But because this is much easier to make a subject of the formula, we are going to use substitution. So from this equation, we can decide whether either to make A or B the subject of the formula. And me, what I did, I made a B the subject of the formula by transferring this -1 to this other side. So when it transfers, it will become positive what? Positive A. And it is better for me to begin by writing A and then subtract a what? A 6. So that is why here I have that B is equal to A minus 6. So after doing this, so I'm going to now transfer my B and substitute it in equation 1. So here. So where there is B, I'm going to substitute there A minus 6. And that will give me 4A, which is here, plus B, where there is a B, I've substituted A minus 6, and is equal to 4. When I open brackets, I'll have 4A plus A minus 6, and is equal to 4. So what I do here is to transfer the 6 to this other side, and that will change it to plus. And then 4A plus 5 plus A will give me 5A minus 6 is equal to 4. Then I transfer the 6 to the right hand side, it becomes plus 6. And then 5A 4 plus 6 gives me 10. So after that, I'm going to divide by 5, both sides, and that gives me 5 divided by 5 is 1. So I'm going to remain with A. 10 divided by 5 is going to give me 2. So my A will be equal to a 2. Any questions?
Teacher, I've not understood from 4A plus B is equal to 4, then those dots to 1. Starting from there.
Yes, could you please start from the beginning?
From the very beginning?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let me begin again.
Maybe Teacher Ashaba, before you repeat.
Yes.
There is something I want to pass on. Hello, colleagues. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, you attended this lesson when much of our team called you to attend. Please, we request you to keep online. You have another lesson at 2. Is it 2, right? Of English. Okay, sir. Yes, we are not going to give more calls. Please be ready at that class and you attend without us calling for another class again. Thank you. Teacher Ashaba can continue. You still have like 8 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we are beginning from f of x equaling to ax plus b. So let us now go through it. We first find f of 4. And that one I think we have been doing from the beginning. So we said where there is ax, we are going to substitute there a 4. So that will give us f of 4 is equal to x, we substitute a 4, so it becomes 4a, then plus b. But our f of 4 was given as 4, so f of 4 is equal to 4. So we say 4 is equal to 4a plus b. Are we there? Members? Okay. Then
Yes.
we rewrite this one, and it becomes 4a plus b is equal to 4. And that is fine. Then we get f of negative 1. Sorry? F of negative 1. F of negative 1, we still do the same. Where there is x, we substitute a negative 1 plus b. And the f of negative 1 was given as negative 6. So we say negative 6 is equal to negative a, because a times negative 1 will give us negative a plus b. So when I rewrite this, it becomes 4a, no, it becomes negative a plus b is equal to negative 6. So this becomes equation what? 2. So I'm going to solve these equations simultaneously to get the values of what? Of a and b. So that will give us, so that when I get from equation 2 and make b the subject of the formula, and I transfer this a here, the a will become what? Positive, since it was negative. And then I remain with b equaling, since the a is positive, it is better for us to begin with the positive, and we say a minus what? 6. So that is what I have here, as b is equal to a minus 6. Then now what I do is to go back to my equation, this equation here. And where I have b, I'm going to put there a minus what? 6. Since we are saying b is equal to a minus 6. So that is going to give us 4a, which was here. So where there is b, we substitute there a minus 6 and equate it to a 4. So when we open brackets, we shall have 4a plus a minus 6 is equal to 4. So 4a plus a gives us 5a minus 6 is equal to 4. Then we transfer the 6 to the right hand side and it becomes positive. So my 5a is equal to 4 plus 6. And 4 plus 6 gives us 10. So 5a is equal to 10. So we divide both sides by 5 by 5.
Teacher, conclude.
So when I divide by 5 here and by 5 here, okay, thank you. Our answer is going to be equal to a 2. So thank you very much for attending this lesson. So we shall meet again. So we can chat in the group in case you have some questions to ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, teacher.
You're welcome.
Thank you, teacher.
You're welcome.